Well, somebody that might align maybe more closely with Chinese policy, at least domestic policy, would be Mayor Mamdani, who's at least a socialist, if not a communist. And this is him talking about another way he wants to attack America, I guess, on The View.
Mr. Mayor, and I love saying that.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, let's talk about the unfortunate situation unfolding in Minnesota.
I want to know where you come down on abolishing ICE and if you believe that ICE has any legitimate law enforcement role.
You know, I am in support of abolishing ICE, and I'll tell you why. Because what we see is an entity that has no interest in fulfilling its stated reason to exist. We're seeing a government agency that is supposed to be enforcing some kind of immigration law, but instead what it's doing is terrorizing people, no matter their immigration status, no matter the facts of the law, no matter the facts of the case. And there is a way to care about immigration in this city and in this country with a sense of humanity. What we're seeing from ICE is not it, and we have not seen that from them in a long, long time.
So, you know, it's really nice to have you here. You make sense.
And he also drew a line in the snow yesterday, essentially, where he said, I will uphold New York sanctuary city laws, even if the Trump administration withholds a lot of money from New York City's administration. It was a love fest. It was a little gushy. It was exactly the kind of interview he would have loved. And suddenly people all across the country listened to this guy for the first time for an extended period talk about stuff that is new, for the most part, to New York.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's not surprising that Zohran Mamdani takes this position. This is who he is, and this is a very favorable audience to him right here in the middle of Manhattan. And these are all liberals. But the truth is that if you live in Minneapolis, or if you're just a normal person, a normie, and you saw President Trump yesterday hold up all of these mugshots and tell the crimes of the people that they're arresting, why would you defend having these people in your city, Joey?
Listen, he got elected in this city probably by more transient people who don't have a financial stake in this city. Yeah. And so that's part of the calculation here. Those are people that are going to be more out to like these policies and these comments about ICE because maybe they brought their family members here with them. Maybe that's a part of their family dynamic, is that they have family members here that ICE might want to take a second look at. So I think he's talking to the larger constituency, maybe not his donor class, but a larger constituency here in New York. The problem is that's a national television news show, right. And what works in New York City, or he thinks is going to work in New York City, doesn't work in Dalton, Georgia, or Uvalde, Texas, or some of the other places where high populations of illegal immigrants actually are breaking the backs of the city and the social programs that small town's trying to put into place. And one thing I'll tell you about saying something like he says in one sentence, he said they're wrapping up people that are citizens and they shouldn't be rolling up. And I want to stick to the facts. And it's almost like a sentence in war with itself. More than 99.5% of the people ICE has apprehended stayed apprehended because they had a legal basis to apprehend them.
Right.
I mean, that's a pretty good record. I mean, I understand if a legal citizen gets apprehended and has to go to jail for a couple hours and then released, that's something that needs to be looked at. You have civil rights, and I understand that completely. But at the same time, that's a really good record. More than 99.5% of the people you apprehend need to be apprehended, should be apprehended. You have a legal status or a legal right to do so. Those are the facts. I just don't think he likes the facts.
You said, I don't think maybe, and this is the only thing I will quibble with you with, Joey, is you said maybe his donor class doesn't like it. Actually, I think the donor class does like low wages. They like to undermine the wage of the working class and get it cheaper. Yeah. And so I think it's such a great point because it's not just a security criminal thing that's happening here with ICE, but this is also part of a greater plan to raise the wages of the working class by not allowing illegals, criminals or not, violent criminals or not, to come into our country and undermine our wages.
It's a big problem. It has been for decades.
It has. It certainly has been.
I'm Steve Doocy.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.